good friend Chris Denari joins us. Perfectly timed, the voice of the Pacers with tonight's NBA draft. And we posed a question earlier that we did not answer. And that who would we pick with the number 7 pick? And I'm going to shock everybody. I'm going to say I would take me.
Jim Coyle.
I would love. Can you imagine hearing that name walking up and saying, "What's up, Commish?"
I tell you what, it's going to be an interesting night. Good to see you guys, Jim and Dustin. It's been a while. I was on vacation a couple of weeks, and
I haven't seen you since the 500. I think maybe.
Yeah, I think you're right. I saw Jim out at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the media center. What was that? Carb Day, I think.
I was going to try to go to where his perch is because I was going to climb up there because we hear how it's up there and it is. I didn't make it to where he was. I couldn't find him on that, but I walked to the top of the bleachers in that corner, and it's not like the bleachers are crazy like in a stadium, but they're just so massive that they end up they are that high. I mean, this is probably like the top of Assembly Hall high.
I mean, we are where we sit. We're sitting we're attached to the back of the bleachers, and if you look down, you just see asphalt. So it would be a significant drop if you did that. But that was a tough. And I don't want to talk about the race much, but what a great race that it was. Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting race that we've never seen before with the red flags. I honestly like how it ends. I hate to see races end under yellow, and I know they did something that they'd never done before, but I thought it was exciting for the fans. And if you go back to the second red flag, Newgarden was in the lead at that point. So if they would have gone to their, the old way they did it with yellows, I'm not sure they could have cleaned the track up after that second red. I think maybe there was 5 laps left. So in a way, it ended the way it was supposed to with the guy that, was in, that won the race. But I quite frankly, I loved it. I think, sports is entertainment. Sure, you have to have rules and those kinds of things. But I just think the way the race ended, gave it a lot of excitement. It was great to see, in my opinion, Newgarden win. I mean, Marcus Ericsson, he's been a tremendous driver too. Had a lot of fun. Weather was great, sort of like it is today. I mean, it's a beautiful day here in central Indiana. I'll be with other members of our broadcast team in Midtown Carmel tonight, hosting our draft party for all of our season ticket holders. We had a great turnout and a great event last year, and it led the Pacers to get Benedict Mathurin and Andrew Nembhard. And tonight, they have a chance, either if they're going to take young players through the draft, if they're going to use their draft picks for trades. We've already seen them consummate a trade with Denver, giving up one of their first-round picks for a first-round pick for next year. All of these things become assets, however you use them. If you draft a player, if you use it in a trade. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for, the Pacers to improve their roster. I don't know about you guys, but Dustin, I'm anxious to see. We've already had some fireworks, right? You've already had a major trade, Bradley Beal from Washington to Phoenix. And then overnight, you have Kristaps Porzingis leaving Washington, going to Boston, Marcus Smart going to Memphis. So already we're still, 8 hours away, 10 hours away from the start of the draft. And we've had 2 pretty significant trades in the NBA.
Is the NBA or the NFL draft a bigger lead up? Because the NBA draft is shorter, it's more compact, it's 2 rounds.
Yeah.
NFL draft, 7 rounds. And
the difference is the NBA season ended a week ago Monday, and then 2 weeks later you have the draft. The Super Bowl is the 1st of February, and then you don't have the NFL draft until April. So, but I don't know about you guys, but it's just like the NFL draft. I'm just ready for the draft because you've gone through every scenario, every mock draft. Everybody has an opinion. All these guys have worked out. For me, I don't have to cover that stuff, right? I just am going to deal with the group that will be with the Pacers once summer league starts, once training camp starts. So, but it is definitely an exciting time.
To get the Nuggets first round pick for 2024, probably not going to be a good pick, is it?
Well, it's not the Nuggets pick. I think, Dustin, right? It's Oklahoma City's pick through.
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many permutations of it, but it is another first round pick, and having a second first round pick is valuable either to be used or to be traded.
Well, you can hope that Oklahoma City goes into the dump and you get it with a lottery pick.
Well, and I think to Chris's point, that's what the Pacers, when you have as many draft picks in this draft as the Pacers do, you look at least a group of them as assets. And you're not going to draft all those guys and bring so many new faces into the franchise because you've got a really good young core. So what I think they're going to do is go through this season and then at this time, maybe next season, look and say, do we need a guy that we can trade for? What's the missing piece? Can we trade for it? Or can we draft that player? Whatever the case might be. So it gives the Pacers, it's not just that they're going to have a draft pick. They have an asset that they can use in the future to decide what they need to do to maybe take that next step to be an Eastern Conference contender.
Yeah, and that's you look at Denver, they did not have a first-round draft pick this year. And if you look at their roster, I mean, they are built as a championship team. They probably aren't going to add veterans. I mean, they want to re-sign Bruce Brown, but that 29th pick, let's say they use it and they bring in a young player, that's on a pretty favorable salary for them that they can slide in. Because if they went out and had to try to sign a veteran, even at the mid-level or whatever, that's probably going to be more expensive. So, but it gives both teams flexibility. Denver wanted to be into the first round. They might have their eye on somebody late in the first round that they'd like to get. For the Pacers, they get a second first-round pick next year. They already have 2 first-round picks this year, and it just gives them more flexibility because, to Dustin's point, they only have 3 free agents. I mean, set aside whatever they might do from a trade standpoint or whatever. We don't know what that's going to be. They only have 3 free agents. So Shea Brissett, James Johnson, George Hill. So of their 15-man regular roster, they only have 3 open slots. Kendall Brown was on a 2-way deal. They are adding one more 2-way deal to the roster this year. So you'll have 15 on regular contracts and 3 on 2-way. So, they might want to leave a roster spot open for some flexibility. So I just think the trade gives them an opportunity to not just look at this year, because pick number 40 is not a bad pick. I mean, there's been a lot of quality players taken, in the early 40s in the second round, but it gives them another pick for flexibility next year.
Would you say that this is true or false? Because it seems like we've had a quick transition. It seems like just a few years ago that the super teams were going to be the future of the NBA, right? With the Heat teams, with LeBron, D-Wade, and Chris Bosh. Then you had Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson with the Golden State Warriors. But that theory almost seems to have exploded. And I know some teams are going to still pursue that avenue, but it feels like, over the last few years, Chris, is it true or false? Like, it seems like the NBA draft is even now more important than it was maybe a decade ago because teams are getting away from that. They're actually trying to, I think back to those 2012, 13, 14 Pacers teams where they had a guy like Paul George who was a superstar, but they surrounded him with so many good pieces. And I feel like we're getting back to that as opposed to we need 3 superstar guys to win a title.
Yeah, think about those teams in 12, 13, and 14. You had 2 veterans that you added through trades, David West and George Hill. But the other 3 players were your draft picks, Roy Hibbert, Paul George, Lance Stevenson. You got Roy Hibbert, 17, I think. He was the 17th pick. Paul was the 10th. And Lance was a second-round draft pick.
Second-rounder.
So you're right. So what's going to be interesting is to see – Milwaukee was not a super team when they won. Denver was not a super team when they won. I wouldn't call Toronto a super team when they won. I mean, you had Kawhi, but they weren't a super team. So it's interesting to see. Phoenix you could categorize with their deal for Bradley Beal, Booker, Durant, Beal could be super team. My concern for them, guys, and Dustin, who else are they going to have? Yeah. I mean, if they keep DeAndre Ayton, I mean, they're going to have to go into the bargain barrel and maybe get some veterans that want to have a chance to win a championship for low money. They're just not going to have enough around them, in my opinion. And what if those guys get hurt? I mean, Bradley Beal has not played a full season. Durant has not played a full season. Booker was hurt this year. I mean, on paper, they are very good. Those are three outstanding players. So I think you're right. I think the draft has become very important to build your team, and then you sprinkle it with guys that you get in trades. I mean, if you look at the Pacers, Halliburton, of course, wasn't drafted by Indiana, Nesmith, Wara, but they're all young, and you got in trades. They're almost like they are your draft picks, right? Because they're so young.
And on a funnier note, getting away from the draft, I cannot think of another player in another sport who seemed maybe as disinterested in winning an NBA championship or in any sports championship as Nikola Jokic. Basically,
I think it just appears that way.
But he made the comment, everybody hates their job, right? Like, I don't think he hates his job, but the thing that's interesting to me is I think that people, when they watch professional athletes, they think that they love their sport, that they love doing it. And I just think at some point, there's some players out there who they honestly view it as a job. It's not like it's not a good job, but it's a job. I don't remember another player having that sort of mindset where it's just like, yeah. And to do it in such a dominating fashion, that he's the best, maybe the best player in the NBA right now, top 3 for sure. And he just seemed like, yeah, we won a championship. Okay, I'm going to go back home now.
Yeah, remember his comments after they won, and they said, "You mean parade's on Thursday? I've got to stay." He wanted to go home. Now, he had a heck of a time at the parade. There's no question about that. But right. I think it shows you that, these guys are people. They have emotions. They have families. As Jim said, it's a job. I mean, you're earning money. And, we all at some point, no matter what we do, you just want to sit on the couch, right? You just want to sit on the couch and chill out and not have to worry about anything. And, the one thing, the NBA is a long season. You're under the microscope. They played 82 regular season games and probably they were 16-4. They played 102 games, throw in 4 preseason games, 106 games. And again, people say, yeah, they make a lot of money, but they also have to deal with things that the 3 of us don't have to deal with, right? I mean,
well, the physical stress along with the mental stress over that period of time when you're playing at the level that they play at. And let me tell you, I don't care what you're doing. If you're out playing tennis, those that listen, if you're out playing pickleball or whatever you're doing, and I'm sure you're playing hard, but I don't think, and unless you have played a professional sport, that you can truly understand the level of which they give their bodies physically, and the mental strain just that automatically comes with that. It's tiring.
Yeah, and you have to do it every day. I mean, I remember Donnie Walsh many, many years ago when I first started with the Pacers, we were talking about what you do in the summer. And he said, there are 3 things that happen. He goes, you either get better, you stay the same, or you regress a little bit. And he goes, the last 2 are unacceptable. Even staying the same is unacceptable.
Staying the same is going backwards in essence.
Yeah. So the amount of time that these athletes put in it. I'll go from the college game, Jim. I mean, you see it. I mean, what these college athletes do now on a year-round basis. This isn't school ends in May like it used to be, and you go home for the summer, and then you show back up in August. It's a lot different. And again, I know NIL, money, there's all kinds of things, but I've been around it enough, and I see what these athletes do. 9 out of 10 people that I know who would not do what these players do. So, they're very well compensated. It's a dream of most of theirs to be able to do what they do. But I'm telling you, there are a lot of times I would not change, get in their shoes because of what they have to deal with, social media, all those kinds of things. So, but hey, we love it. I mean, we love sports. We love covering it. We love being a part of it. We love rooting for it. You just had Kyle Neddenrip on. You're talking about the Tigers. I'm going to talk about the Reds. 11 straight wins.
I told you he was a fan.
I'm going to Cincinnati tomorrow. Brandon Gaudin is the new voice of the Atlanta Braves, and he was the voice of Butler 2 after me. And I'm making my way. I'm going to Winston-Salem this week for the National Sports Media Awards. And so I'll be in Winston-Salem Saturday through Tuesday.
Oh, that's right. Are you picking up your award?
Yes. Yeah. I've never been before, but yeah, I'm the.
And what was that award for? I'm
Sportscaster of the Year. So yeah, they finally felt sorry for the 62-year-old guy. But on the way, I'm going to Cincinnati tomorrow. Gonna pop in and see Brandon. I've been texting with John Sadak, the voice of the Reds. I mean, just to see these young, talented Reds. I mean, I'll be honest. When the season started, I knew about a third of the roster, and didn't know how many games I would watch. Now, man, I'm invested every night, and it shows you what winning does, right? It's why we love
winning cures everything.
Winning cures everything.
Winning cures everything.